Hello, I'm Matilda Butler. I'd like to share with you today the first of 7 secrets of writing an effective memoir. Let me tell you a little about how my business partner, Kendra Bonnet, and I developed these 7 secrets. The story begins about a decade ago when I started work on the collective memoir Rosie's Daughters. The first woman to generation tells its story.
At that time, I'd sold my high-tech company and moved to the country, where I planted hundreds of fragrant rosemary plants, dozens of majestic artichokes, 25 sweet Meyer lemon trees, apple, apricot, and fig trees, more than 150 Italian varietal olive trees, grapevines, and I'd even come to accept the common presence of wild boar and deer, watching each season's births like a proud grandparent. While I loved planning and creating a landscape garden that would partially feed us, I was primarily eager to return to my roots as a social scientist. A high school reunion in 2000 offered the perfect opportunity, causing me to reflect on how different the lives of my classmates were from women who'd graduated even 5 years earlier, those in what is called the silent generation, or 5 years later, those in the boomer generation. I was curious to find out how we became a generation of women on the cusp of change. Little did I know that in the process of interviewing a sample of more than 100 women across the U.S., women born during World War II, daughters of the iconic Rosie the Riveter, that my own life would change, would be set on a new course. Before telling you about that change in my life course, let me say that the 5+ years of work on Rosie's Daughters was more than rewarded when I sat in the audience of the 2008 IPPY Awards ceremony and heard the booming voice announce, and the winner is Rosie's Daughters.
The National Book Award was, of course, merely a public acknowledgement of the memoir. Even more satisfying have been the messages that I've received from many women who told me what a difference the book made in their life, how reading it changed their lives, how they will never be the same because it caused them to reflect on their own actions and to change their perspective. Hearing from readers, knowing you've made a difference in their lives, is probably the most satisfying reward for any writer. Well, back to the change in my life course. Many of the women I interviewed told me that they'd never stopped to reflect on their lives before. Some had kept journals, but they never reread them until they dusted them off in preparation for my interview. Others had their aha moments during the interview and saw for the first time the patterns in their lives, some bad, some good. Finally, I had my own aha moment. I realized the importance for me of helping women to tell their stories, to write their memoirs, and to share these stories as narrowly or as broadly as they wished. So while I began research for Rosie's Daughters as a social scientist, I ended the book as a memoirist.
By then, my new life course was set. I spent more than a year studying memoirs and developing materials for what I simply called the Women's Memoir Writing Workshop, and began teaching 4 years ago. Since then, I've been coaching and teaching women's memoir writing workshops. In addition, Kendra and I established the website www.womensmemoirs.com. Of course, you're probably wondering about my business partner, Kendra Bonnet, and when she came into the picture. Well, that's another story, and I'll save it into our next video about the second secret of effective memoir writing. Right now, I want to share with you our first secret. Here it is. A memoir is about you. You're probably thinking, well, duh, of course it is. It's a memoir. Let me say more about what I mean. The insight for this secret came one day when I'd been playing around with the word memoir. I was writing it on a piece of paper over and over, just doodling really. Finally, I focused on the letters in the word memoir and realized that it includes 2 important keywords, me and I. This isn't a surprise or big revelation, but then I remembered a comment made about EYE memoirs by Elaine Salerno Mason back in a 2002 Writer's Digest article. Elaine, as a W.W. Norton editor, had read a large number of memoirs and had come to recognize that the best ones were EYE memoirs, not I memoirs.
So here's the key part to our first secret. Work on writing an EYE memoir. The other kind of I is deep inside your brain and looks inward. The EYE has perspective and places your story in the world around you. The EYE memoir brings insight, provides a perspective, and goes beyond the specifics of your personal story. It centers your story in a universal theme that speaks to many, that may help your readers to reflect on their own lives. Take a look at what you've been writing. Are you putting your story into the larger context? This means going beyond a rehashing of your journals or writing the equivalent of a pity party. To incorporate women's memoir, secret number 1, into your writing, be sure to take the reader beyond a recital of your life to a story with a beginning, a middle, and an ending that shows personal reflection and insight.
Join us next time for Women's Memoir Secret Number 2. To learn more about our 5 DVD set, the Essential Women's Memoir Writing Workshop, 21 Lessons from Planning to Publication, and to get a special 25% off discount, please go to tinyurl.com/DVD memoir.